Welcome guys to the Skyline channel on the Grant Cardone TV network. We're very excited for you guys to join us. We're going to be talking about something very important, especially for us on the door-to-door industry, also for the smart home industry, about knowing your customer, and also having that customer have the greatest experience with you. And so number one, we have some tips that we want to talk to you about. So number one is you have to analyze the situation, right? When you're outside walking up to the door, you got to analyze the situation. You got, there's certain things outside of the house that will trigger certain characteristics or people that you can be talking to. Obviously, toys outside in the yard, they probably have kids, right? A classic car, they're into classics, right? These things that you'll see at the front of the door, you'll kind of know more or less who you're going to be talking to. It's not always going to be exact, right? Because not every person is the same. However, you'll be able to analyze just by looking outside who you're going to be talking to. Number two is once you start knocking on the door, you're going to start hearing things, right? A dog barking, kids crying, sometimes people yelling. You don't want to hear that, right? But you'll hear certain things which will then you'll know a little more information about who you're going to be talking to. Ultimately, you have to be prepared, right, with your pitch. We talked about this before already. You got to be ready for that because once they open that door, that's the first time of contact with that customer, potential customer. And so when you have that customer and you're obviously face to face, now you can talk to them. You don't want to be so rigid, stiff. You want to loosen up. You want to talk to them in a good way, very nonchalant, comfortable. So that way they know that you're legit and you obviously have your credentials and all that. The other thing you want to do is once you start asking questions and you go inside the home, you start analyzing, maybe some art or something like that. Ask them questions about their family. You yourself talk about yourself. You want to talk about, your family, your things. You want to build a relationship, more importantly. People, like I said before, people don't buy things, they buy people, right? And so they want you and they want to see who you are. And so, by explaining certain things or situations, I remember when I was my first child, I would explain like, hey, we just had our first kid. Any tips? And they would, gladly, give me tips on how to raise a child or things that they've gone through. So you can really build a relationship there. That's really where it comes down to in the sales process. Because, like I said, people like to have a relationship to the people that they're getting with, and that's how you're able to create a great customer experience. And then at the end, obviously, you're going to be able to get some referrals out of it too, right? If they have a great experience, how much more likely are they going to give you referrals than the person who doesn't probably give you or you don't have a great experience with? So very important to review these things. So number one, analyze it before you get inside, right? Number two, once you knock it, you're going to start hearing a dog or kids or whatever. You're going to hear something at the door. So be ready for that because that's important. Number three is when you go inside, start analyzing the house, maybe some art or, something inside the sports teams that they like. Talk about that. Make them feel comfortable, obviously very important. Number four is, talk about yourself, your experiences, build a common ground, build some relationship there. And then you also want to make sure that you give them great customer service. You want to make sure your customers are taken care of. You tell them everything they're going to get, explain how they're going to get it, all the fine lines. You want to make sure you do a great job. So that way, at the end of the day, they can refer you to their family member, their neighbor, their friend, because of the relationship that you build in the beginning. It's so important. I've gotten calls from referrals that refer me to referrals just because of the customer service that I was able to provide them. So very important. Grant talks about, over-promise and over-deliver, right? So it's very important to just go above and beyond to do the things that we have to do in the sales world, especially in the door-to-door world, where, as it's always, you got to make sure you're on point, ready to go, be ready, and that's going to make you and bring you more success. And so stay tuned for more tips when it comes to the door-to-door industry, in the smart home industry with Skyline Security. Let's get it.